From project reviews to incredible interviews, along with the general things in Web3, CraigO's Crypto Corner covers the space in a fun and engaging way. We dive in so our listeners can conceptualize, plan, strategize, and implement their very next move. We are quickly becoming a platform that enriches and supports the overall foundation of Web3. In order to grow, you need your voice to be heard. If you have infinite curiosity, then CraigO's Crypto Corner is just for you. Come join us.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Let's get to it tonight. Welcome to my co-host, Mr. Meta Matt. What's going on, my good friend?
Good. How we doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. We're going to have a great episode this evening, and we're going to first thing is that we're going to do 10 different Web3 topics. We're giving away a Floor app Gen 3 token. Really excited for that giveaway and maybe create some excitement, some engagement, and just some really great information. Before we do that, I first want to get to my good friend, Mr. Ralph Quintero with the daily Ralpha, our weekly Ralpha update. What's going on, my good friend?
What is up, Craig? Excited to be here tonight. Long day, but an exciting one at that. I just heard you say that you're going to give away a Floor token. A lot of exciting news out of the Floor camp today. So I'm excited about that. And I'll tell you what, little surprise, I will also give up a Floor token on my side and invite somebody to come in. So happy to share an invite from my side as well. So we can have two to give away.
I love that. And if Meta, if you could just kind of like work the room and then just tweet out, see if we can get some more people in there. So we now have 2 token giveaways. It's a lot of fun. Listen, create some engagement during this, what we call opportunity market. But first, Ralph, I want to start off with you on the X. And before we came on, you actually educated me to a little bit more of the behind the scenes of the Elon Musk, which obviously everybody's been very focused on the X. I got to be honest and say, I really haven't. But now that I've kind of heard a little bit of the backstory, I sort of feel a little bit of a disappointment, and I'm wondering, is it theft or is it not? So why don't you clue us into what's going on within that story and why is it so notable right now?
Let's rewind a little bit, right? So we started the week with Elon basically coming out and saying that he was rebranding Twitter to X. He teased it a little bit Sunday night. It happened officially on Monday. And one of my favorite tweets that I saw at the beginning of the week was somebody that said something along the lines of like, there's 3 levels of wealth, like buying a domain and launching a website, or spending $44 billion on a company, on a website and then putting it on your own domain. And that's essentially what Elon did, right? Spends $44 billion, rebrands. It's kind of a hastily done rebrand. Look, I don't bet against Elon. He's got a ton of money. He's got a ton of influence. He's a smart guy. But, there's all kinds of fallout because of what's been going on, right? So tweets are no longer tweets. They're receipts. There's going to be a learning process. I had somebody else say, look, I don't care if they rebrand it to something about donkeys. I'm still going to doom scroll through it for like 6 hours a day. And I think that's true for most of us because this is where we're communicating. But today there was something that I really didn't like. So yesterday there was a lot of buzz about the fact that he didn't go out and secure all of the trademarks necessary around X. So Microsoft owns some of the X trademarks. Meta owns some of the X trademarks. He owns some of the X trademarks. But the one notable thing that they didn't do before launching X is actually secure the @X handle on Twitter. So that was actually held by a user who's had it for a long time. I believe the guy runs a photography service. And there was a lot of speculation about what could happen. Now, coming from the world of digital domains, .coms, that's a valuable digital property, right? Something that in any normal circumstance would have gone for at least 6 figures, if not more, especially on something this high profile. And what Elon did was just take it. He literally stepped in and said, this is our property. We're going to give you a new handle. And oh, by the way, we're going to send you a t-shirt and let you tour our offices. Thanks so much. And that was the end of that.
That's utility. I would just maybe throw on top of that is, when you think about a social play, I mean, he has so much money, it would have been nothing for him to have reasonably paid. It would have been like a cup of coffee, and the social rallying of those that, I don't say want to be an Elon supporter, but want the best for him because we want the best for Twitter. Maybe somebody who's driving a Tesla wants the best for Elon because they love their Tesla. I don't know. But I
mean, look, there was an opportunity to make it right. And it opened up a whole conversation about ENS names, right? And true digital ownership. So when you own your ENS name, it's yours.
Right.
unless you forget to renew it and somebody can take it, but it's yours. Nobody can step in and say, hey, this is ours now, like what Elon did. And, I think that's the future of kind of identity on these platforms. Who knows how long it's going to take. I know Farcaster stepped in today and essentially let you use your ENS name as part of their service. So I think we're going to see more and more of it, but it leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth to have seen that happen. The guy's taking it in pretty good spirits, but I mean, I thought it was a total BS play.
Maybe he'll lawyer up. I mean, who knows? I mean, he definitely has one heck of a case, I believe. I think you believe that as well. What other topics? I mean, I know we could talk a little bit about the SEC's ruling, in part where Ripple that has a XRP is not it is not deemed a security, but there's sort of a half win, and then there's sort of a half loss out there because the government's going to continue to come after these cryptos because they want to protect the common people, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the premise that they've brought all of this stuff under, right? It's consumer protection, and realistically, I think that they're not protecting the consumer at all. To your point, the ruling was kind of split down the middle. There's an institutional side, and then there's a consumer play. The consumer play news was actually good, where it deemed Ripple, the actual XRP token, not a security. Right. So that's a temporary win, and I think a lot of people were expecting the crypto markets to rally around that, and they didn't, because everybody's kind of still waiting to see, is the SEC going to appeal the decision? Gensler has already come out and thrown out some signal that is indeed their intention, but we'll see. I think that there was a lot more optimism surrounding the whole thing, and then it kind of fizzled out a little bit. People aren't really talking about it right now. Everybody's waiting for the ultimate decision. But I think we should talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the lack of nothing going on.
And we're going to do that. And by the way, we have, as people continue to tune in, we're going to have 4 pros and 4 cons on that ruling. But let's talk about the lack of liquidity, right? Web3 funding experiences a dramatic plunge, 76% plunge in Q2 of this year, reaching 1.8 billion, down from 7.5 billion dollars in the same quarter last year. And then there's more stats that I have, but I'll leave that later in the show. You're very in depth in this. You understand how money works in this space. So why don't you dive in a little bit for us and tell us maybe what we don't know?
Look, I spend a lot of time with clients, particularly on the fundraising side of things. And I will tell you that the last 7 or 8 months have been absolutely brutal in this space, particularly for Web3 companies, crypto companies that are trying to raise, because of the SEC's kind of lack of legislation and rulings and everything that's been going on. VCs have been very, very cautious, probably overly cautious as to how they're deploying capital. And unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of companies start to fold. I've already started seeing them. A lot of awesome tools that I've either featured in the Daily Ralpha or I've been using for some time. I've heard from the founders that they're having a really tough time securing financing at this point, or securing investments at this point. And a lot of investors aren't coming in to essentially save those portfolio companies. So unfortunately, we are going to see, I think, a little bit more of these kind of startups failing. It's a little reminiscent of kind of like the 2000.com bust.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see more of that. And it's interesting because initially people were saying, oh, all of that capital is moving over to AI. And that's partially correct. I mean, if you look at the stats, there has been a significant increase in investments into AI companies. But if you really pull back the curtain, what you'll see is that there's only been maybe 2 or 3 handful of companies that have secured most of that financing.
Got it.
And VCs are essentially sitting on the sidelines. They're still being successful in raising funds, but I think what they're doing is that they're just stacking cash for the next run or the next opportunity, and then they'll heavily deploy then. In the meantime, I think it's going to be a little bloody for the people that are currently in the space.
Again, it's an opportunity market, and at the bottom of the podcast, probably the last notes out, I'd say probably it's item number 11. I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 different NFTs that I purchased this past week, and a little bit as to my reason why in a screen share. So I'm really excited about that. Cool. Yeah, so I mean that's great. I guess just the last thing that I want to talk about is aliens. I mean, it's a non-Web3 thing, but we need to know about aliens. And as soon as you mentioned the word aliens, I just thought about alien-based NFTs, but obviously aliens means something completely different, Ralph. Am I right?
Well, that depends on who you ask, right? Like, are aliens into alien traits for NFTs? Are they into monkeys? Are they into art? Like a lot of us are. So the whole alien thing is like, what else could they possibly throw at us, right? So today in a congressional hearing, like, we find out that apparently aliens are real, and we've been like harboring aliens, and like there's like UFOs are legit, and this is from like pretty respectable people that were being interviewed. So I guess my question is, are there like, do they have bags of ETH? Do they like JPEGs? And are they going to like pick up our bags?
I was just wondering one thing: is this going to be a Democratic or a Republican issue? That's all I wanted to know.
I just want to sell my JPEGs.
That's all I want to do. I don't care. I don't care. I'm just wondering what candidate's going to be like. I'm going to fight the aliens.
I just know that all of the conspiracy theorists tonight are like popping bottles of champagne and going, "I told you so. I told you so."
I know. Listen, I'll pop some champagne. Maybe we find out that the aliens are actually an 1155. And for those degens, they know what an 1155 is. That means no traits whatsoever.
Yeah. And I saw Michael just commented about Project Bluebeam for sure. I mean, look, we could have an entire episode on conspiracy theories, and it would be phenomenal.
That would be. I mean, they have to just kind of be Web3 intertwined, because, you know, my business partner was like, "Hey, Craig, I love you, man, but I just what are you doing?" I mean,
we'll mint a POAP for every conspiracy theory. That's it. Like,
by the way, 2 tokens. I'm gonna let you know who the winner is. As a good friend, I want you now to get off this podcast, go get yourself some food. I'm always so grateful when you come on here, and we always chop it up. But between X, aliens, lack of liquidity, which I think is the opportunity market, I want to hit you with one more question.
Yeah.
2 projects, again, not favoritism. I'm always going to do this to you a little bit. 2 projects that people should just read into. Not saying they should go and buy it now, but what are 2 projects that really had your eye this past week?
So started paying attention to Pudgy again. I have been looking at them closely. I'm fascinated by what Luca and his team are doing, and they're delivering. Over delivering. So that's one that I will continue to look at, and I'll probably get into this coming week. And then the other one is FloorApp. And the reason I'm bringing FloorApp, and that's not necessarily a project per se, it's more of a platform. But what they did today with the Vinny Hagar launch, and what they're doing with their whole icon series, is fascinating, right? This is the first time that they've made NFTs, one, like high profile NFTs, one, easily accessible to the consumer. It's as simple as using Apple Pay or Google Pay on your Android.
Very easy.
Very, very easy. It was the most seamless UX UI that I have ever seen. The NFTs came in, there was added utility to it. So if you're not using the FloorApp, I highly recommend that you go out and get it, because it is most definitely something that we should be paying attention to. And my understanding is that there's 11 more icons drops coming up, and you know, being able to pick up a Vinny Hagar for $30 today is phenomenal. And if I'm not mistaken, while I was driving and at a red light, so I wasn't driving, I did it at a red light, opened my FloorApp and saw that at some point during the day, that NFT was sitting at like 0.5 ETH, which is like what, $900?
Yep.
So not bad for a $30 investment. That doesn't mean that it's going to stay there. This isn't financial advice.
Yeah.
But super, super interesting nonetheless.
I love that. And by the way, Pudgy's definitely had my eye. I think I'm more kind of gearing towards cool cats. We'll talk about at the end of the podcast. And I definitely got my Vinny Hagar, and I'm excited because at some point very soon, we get to have Chris Mattern on, who is the founder of the FloorApp. So that's going to be such an honor. I believe it's probably August 9th, so don't quote me on it yet. Waiting to have a final confirmation. Ralph, go get yourself some food, my friend. I'm always grateful when you come onto the podcast.
Appreciate you guys. Matt, I'll catch you later. Craig, love you, man.
Love you, bro. What's up, Matt?
Oh, I love hearing all the daily Ralpha update. It's just, especially now, there's just so much going on. It's like good and bad and ups and downs.
You know, it's funny when you talk about the market, and I was reading, it's $25 billion that went over to the AI space. And then he clarifies and said, yeah, a lot of money's gone over there, but it's only gone to 3 big companies, and they're collecting on the sidelines. And everybody keeps talking about this bull run. But before we get into some details and a lot of content that last week I was on vacation in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. We had a great time with the families. We're at the beach.
Nice.
having a lot of fun. It was nice. I tried to unplug, Matt. I can't say that I completely did, but I did my very best. But I want to know from you, what's new in your world? What's going on? You're doing a lot of great things. So I want to understand a little bit about Penny Boys and what's new in your world.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I love Web3, but it's kind of taking a step back, for me. Right now I'm kind of working on, like you just said, Penny Boys, where we're doing a new 6-week course, just going over all things trading, from psychology to charting to fundamentals, and then even just like alternative ways of finance. Kind of got that from the experts community, but we have some classes going over like futures trading and forex and different ways like that. Because I've just been hard at work just getting that done. Videos, handouts, it's a lot. Once that's all done, I'll be able to get back in the content world again.
Shout out to the experts community.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about. Let's come over here for a second. All right, so we did a lot of notes in prepping, so I'm just going up because I just went down to the area where I knew Ralph wanted to specifically speak on. He really wanted to dive in on the stats and the data, and I was like, I don't want to give too much at the very beginning, but I do want to talk a little bit about the on-chain art market, and it's currently experiencing a slowdown like everything else. And so here's an interesting stat: combined sales volume on Super Rare Plus Foundation in June was down 61% from June of 2022, and then 96.3% from the peak in October of 2021. Again, I keep saying, I can't say it enough, it's an opportunity market. It's a chance to plot, plan, strategize, and implement your next moves. We're in Web3 and collect. And I think one of the things that I've done is, and I always think about when Josh Young came on, he said security through obscurity. And so one of the things that is, you tell people enough so that they can help themselves. Don't be like, hey, I did this and exactly that. But I've started moving certain digital assets to a cold wallet with no intention to touch. As I collect art. And I think I'm finding that we're not chasing the FOMO. We're not chasing the caffeine. We're not chasing the high. We're actually reading about these different things that are going on. And so today, to be able to go through the the seamless process on the Floor app. Wow, that was just floorless. That's cute. To be able to purchase Vinny Hagar, who is a world-renowned artist, and to hear that, I got into something at $30 and it was, I could have sold it for 900 or 300 or 400, but it's not about the X's. It's about, why am I here? And I think that's a bigger question that I've been asking myself over this past week. Why am I here? What's the purpose? Who am I working with? Who am I promoting? Am I making sure that I'm giving acknowledgement to the communities, to the founders, to the people that are entrenched in Web3? So that was my thought. But that was an interesting stat around on-chain. And so, existing buyers are, you ready? Liquid. We know this. They're not liquid. They're not full of money. And new buyers are not entering the space. And that's a problem. And that's, again, my circle back around for you, Matt. This is why I love that Floor app, because the process of being able to purchase that digital asset, set up a hot wallet separately, and be able to send it there. You just click what wallet you want it to go to. Is very easy. I'm just wondering, for as long as it took me to learn how to move things around, meaning safely, and what wallets to connect things to that I'm willing to take a chance on and which ones not to, I think took me so long to feel comfortable with that. You have your phone app and you have your computer on your browser, and you want to make sure that your wallets match up so you know where you're moving and what wallet has what ETH that is minting. So you want to make sure that you're correctly labeling your wallets. Maybe that's a little alpha insight or something for people to think about.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just going back off of what you're saying about just the the NFT space in general, and just like kind of who you're talking to, who you're giving flowers to, all that kind of stuff. Just, I think a lot of I just from what I've been seeing, a lot of NFT influencers in general are starting to take a step back and reevaluate what their plan is. I know there's a lot of people doing Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, and they're doing fine. Even them, even there's not a lot of liquidity in there, but people who've been doing cross-platform. And grinding, with the anticipation of like, oh, there's gonna be that big bull market, and everything's gonna be okay. They're starting to think that maybe it's not gonna be. If it is, maybe it's not gonna come soon. So I think a lot of people are taking a step back and starting to realize, like, all right, what am I like? What's the goal here? Is the goal to be an NFT influencer? Is the goal to be an influencer? Am I gonna do cross-brand content? Like this, I think a lot of people are just kind of in that whole. There's just no money in the space. Yeah. And it's an opportunity market, but I don't think it is for buyers. I think it's for people like you.
Well, and I also thought, by the way, we were talking about the ideas of utility, right? Because every community will complain to the founders, oh, where's the utility? Promise utility. And Web3 utility is not the same thing as when big utility comes, when the masses of people are there and the movement of utility, whether it's a product, a service, an entry to an event, entry to a dinner, a dining establishment where you have a free meal, or you have something that is an extra because you have a part into the collection. So real utility, consistent utility, has yet to be seen. So I laugh when I'll see things in Twitter or in some of the discords where the people will complain to the founder. And it's like, the founders are just figuring it out like you are. They were just lucky enough to create a project in which you bought into. And now since you bought into it, you think the onus is on them to make you happy and return more money back to you. And that's not always the case.
I mean, it's like investing in a restaurant right before COVID and like all the restaurants shut down and being like, hey, I invested in you, like do better. It's like, well, we can't. Like there's nothing that we can do right now. And a lot of founders are at that point where there's just no money for them to do anything with, and there's no, currency when it comes to social media and all that. Like that's kind of gone too for a lot of people too. So it's rough out there.
I mean, did hours of reading, and then I would just run it through ChatGPT, and I'm like, okay, what makes sense? And so it's funny that you said that, right? Because opportunities exist for collectors in emerging artists, right? AI art, reselling works of established artists, right? Because those are long-term bets. I mean, we're seeing Sotheby's and Christie's auction house with physical artwork being collected. We're seeing silver being grabbed up, gold being grabbed up. A lot's happened with our dollar, a lot's happened with our economy. And so people are wanting to diversify. Those that have liquidity and those that don't are sort of patiently sitting on the timeline figuring out, okay, well, what are they going to do? The ones that are in the know but don't have the liquidity. And that, I think there's nothing more frustrating than having good ideas on what moves and that you want to make and that you would make if you could. I think there's nothing more frustrating than that. What are your thoughts?
No, I just when it comes to like having the moves, it's really quick. Based on what you said before, I actually don't think this is an opportunity market for collectors as much as it may be for like investors long term. But even that, like, I would be very surprised if a lot of people's investments. I don't think a lot of investments are going to be making a lot of big returns. I think some will, but there's a lot more losers than winners. I think it's a good opportunity for people like you who are doing things like podcasts, people who are developing a platform in Web3. I think because it is going to, I think, eventually come back. Like at least the whole digital ownership, the whole you saw what happened with X, the Twitter account, like that wouldn't happen if it was an NFT. So I do believe the technology is there. Sorry, it's like a fly in my face. I do believe the technology is there, right? But and I do believe that people who are doing things like you are, not even the collectors. There was pets.com and now there's Chewy. Pets.com is worthless. I think the people like you who are doing, podcasts and who are building platforms and even trying to get jobs in Web3, that's going to be, the people who are building from the ground up are going to really, start seeing some stuff. Not people who are, I don't think, doing projects and PFPs and all that kind of stuff. I think it's over.
By the way, the only thing that I would get more granular on is I would say there's certain specified artists who have developed a everyday appeal. Like Vinny Hagar, I'm just using him as an example, or certain collections. Again, I don't want to call out any yet. But I think what was interesting is, one of the projects that I grabbed into this week is as someone who sold their digital art at Sotheby's and Christie's auction house. And so for me, I was like, cool, low entry point, accessible. So those are risks that I'm willing to take. And then understanding, is there a backstory to that artist? Because there's a couple of established artists. I won't name them because when it's negative or it's FUD, I'll just kind of say, here was the context. And they're betting on certain meme coins to help propel their brand identity further. And I remember spotting that and saying, that's not going to end well. It's not going to end well because your credibility is based on your creativity and your backstory. And so when you start doing something to pump something, you might at the risk of losing credibility. And that's kind of what happened to one of those communities that I saw. There was sort of a backlash in that the ribbit. So I just thought that was kind of fascinating. And I don't like seeing those moves because those are short-term plays to potentially build your own bags. I don't see it as anything else. But
I think their backs are against the wall, creators and founders, and they're realizing, like, in order for me to survive, I might have to do things that might hurt my credibility, might hurt my audience, might hurt my followers, and that's there are people who are going one way or the other when it comes to that, and like you just said, with the people who are betting on meme coins, like maybe it'll pay off, and maybe it won't in the long run. I guess we can only see.
I think a lot of people are banking on the recovery of the overall crypto market to push OnChain Art. And one of the things that we'll talk a little bit about tonight is ETH subscriptions. Have you heard about ETH subscriptions?
Not really, honestly.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and I definitely have a lot of good information there on it, and I've learned quite a bit. I actually minted 6 Kek punks, KEK punks.
Oh,
but unfortunately, ethscriptions.com is not allowing them to be listed, so you have to go to a different marketplace, which will show it on the index. I like that kind of stuff because it's sort of the hard to find. Not everybody can get it. I remember talking to my cousin, in 2021 about, KuCoin. So they say, hey, it was sort of like printing money. You go to KuCoin, you find the coin that nobody, like a Shiba Inu. You find the coins that people aren't doing yet, that haven't been launched onto the big central exchange platforms. You grab them, there's your money. And some people found that, but the market, as it's maturing, when it comes back to a bull run, it's going to be super focused. It's not going to hit the way it hit. It's not going to fall the same way it fell the first time.
I mean, right now it's like the OTC market, the stock trading world, where, like over the counter, where there's a bunch of companies who might make it, might not. Let's see if they do. I'm going to 15x my investment. If not, I'm losing everything. I think that a lot of projects are at that point right now, where it's either if the market comes back and they somehow find a way to be a part of it, you can make a good amount of money. But I think 90, even Gary Vee says 90% of them probably won't end up being that way.
That's an interesting thing. OnChain Art, just a couple more things on it is it represented as a non-fungible tokens on the blockchain, but it provides a couple different things: transparency and immutable ownership. Which I wonder on the transparency word, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, that sounds good. And provenance of records, which I think the blockchain does. But I think the idea to have something on or off chain, and I did talk to Stephen Miller about this the other night. He kind of schools me in some stuff, and I was like, Steve, does it really matter, if artists have something on or off chain? Because you have what they call an IPFS. Hope I got that right. Where on servers, the images are on there. And then on the blockchain is the actual smart contract with all the information, like an ERC 721, right? Which has unique rarity and traits or functionality, something that Ralph and I had talked about the other day as well. So I say, well, if the debate is like decentralized versus centralized, and the one in decentralized is being manipulated to be or act more centralized then I almost have to wonder the same thing for on or off chain. But I would assume that I would like something that's fully on chain, where it's not on any server and it's completely immersed on the blockchain. To me, I think it's important. So let's use an example. If there's an NFT project out there that's doing very well, and for whatever reason the servers go down, well, the images go down as well, but the smart contracts stay there, so you own that token number with the unique rarity and traits, but your artwork is now gone. That could hurt a project tremendously. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, any kind of error in general, FUD happens. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we looked at, I think something that Truth Labs did, AJT, when we had him on the podcast, is I think for a period of time, and I don't remember which in his collection it was, but this particular collection went to middle fingers. And I thought that was really interesting, and the whole community got up in arms. But he put something into the smart contract. I don't know if it was at the beginning or during. I'm not a coder, but people got very upset about that. So people are very attached to their artwork, whether it's on or off chain. I personally am going to kind of disagree with Steve and say I think on chain is more important. Decentralized marketplace for NFT allow artists to directly list and sell their art to collectors, bypassing intermediaries. And another important point to make on this: artists can embed royalties. I mean, we know that the royalty debate has been going on. It's just a wildfire. Earning a percentage from secondary market sales. I think it's important. If you have a creative process or your team that has created a digital asset and you have a community that you're tending to on Discord and Twitter, it is incredibly important that when that project or that those tokens are being bought and sold, that you're being rewarded in perpetuity for your time, effort, and energy as a collective, whether you're an individual or a team. I think, to me, I want to protect the sanctity of that, and I think more people should want to see that. So I'm a big proponent of royalties, but not royalties that are 10% and above. I'm a 2.5 to a 5% royalty type guy. I'd like to think I am. Doesn't mean I'm always given that chance. You know what I mean, Matt?
No, I mean, I think it should just, I don't care what it is, as long if it's up to the it should be up to the founders and it should stay that way. And if as an investor, you think that's ridiculous, don't invest in it. If you don't, then, do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I mean, royalties, like if it's an art, it's for artists that makes sense. For projects who are trying to be companies, I don't think it's necessary. I don't, I don't know.
You know what? It's like what to do and how to figure it out again. And this is why it is a very quiet space. And the elephant in the room is the lack of liquidity, or in the liquidity being pulled. I mean, that the amount of money that's not currently in this market, and all these incredible projects that were like King Kong are now fire sales. And the opportunities are there if you believe in them long term and have that conviction. You won't say, "Oh my God, I wish I had that." So by the time the next bull run runs around, I'm going to be like, "Yeah, I have that. I have that. I have that. I have that. I have that." And because I was slow, I was patient on it, and I think that's the thing.
I think it shows a lot, and this could be a negative opinion, but I think that it shows a lot which projects were built up and stayed up based off of hype.
Right.
And social media presence, because now that all is gone, in the NFT space, consumers aren't there as much. A lot of these projects who are just strictly just based off of royalty hypes, just hype, selling, with hype, and like you said, the sizzle with no stake. We're starting to see which ones had that, and then which ones, like Pudgy Penguins, had a legitimate business model, and were legitimate businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really showing which projects were here over hype or based off of hype, and which ones are not.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Listen, the scholarship, or the tuition of last year was incredibly important. It was a big learning lesson, and I fight FOMO. I don't fight FOMO as much anymore because there's not the excitement or the oxytocin in the market. But you also spoke to another thing I think is incredibly important. It's social currency, and we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. So I think one of the things I go to now is, how's the community engaging? What is the content that the founders are putting out? What is the messaging? Is the messaging consistent? How are they handling problems or potential FUD, whether it's in Discord or Twitter? I think that's incredibly important. But we speak to a maturing NFT market, right? We got the challenges, the opportunities, the path to a Web3 future. I thought this, a significant decline in weekly volume sales since December of 2022, and a decrease in unique buyers and sellers in the ecosystem. And that's powerful when it's unique buyers, right? When that drops, and you have more sellers than buyers, you have a problem. And it's sort of a comparable to real estate. I mean, we have little to no inventory, and yet we have a few buyers, but those buyers want that property so incredibly bad that it's still driving up the price. But you're like, wait a minute, supply and demand are off. Lack of supply, and then there is a lack of demand, but the lack of supply far exceeds the demand, so the demand still holds true. It's the same thing in our space, but I think it speaks to the overall economy, and it reminds me all the time how new we are into the Web3 ethos, and that to me is very exciting, especially when people go, "What are you doing? What's a digital asset?" And it's like, hey, I don't know. I'm just doing stupid stuff. You should follow me. The NFT market is maturing and blindly investing in random speculative projects, just as you spoke, right? So Pudgy Penguins caught the interest of Ralph, and Ralph has spoken very clearly that one of his biggest holdings is Truth Labs, Illuminati, 187. These are important. Follow the people who have done good things and at least learn from them, and do your own due diligence. Not financial advice. I haven't said that in a while because nobody needs it anymore. Not financial advice. I like this project because anybody with a camera who could get on and you would hear them and be like, oh, I can relate to that person. I should go get that. That was me doing that to other people, watching their episodes and being like, oh yeah, he said that I should get this. But projects from anonymous teams. The doxed, undoxed thing, as we've talked about, maybe we're covering some basics tonight, but I'm not a big fan of anonymous. Just, who are you? What are you doing? Because transparency is important, as we build this platform. And, I've been fortunate enough to have you come on many times, and Ralph come on many times. I've been blessed in that regard to build a platform around credibility and trust. And so I don't want to just shill projects. First off, I'm not getting paid from them. Let's first start there. And then second, by the time I am sponsored, I am going to have done so much due diligence to make sure that it is a right move. Because I think to FTX, I still have that app on my phone, but I only do it to track crypto trades. I haven't been in there in a while, but someone noticed it because I had actually posted in our alpha group, and they're like, "Oh, you got the FTX app? Do you still use it?" I'm like, "No, not really." And when I think about what happened with FTX, and I think about all the Web3 people that I knew that had sponsorships that couldn't run away from it fast enough when it fell apart, but were willing to, not to their discredit at all, willing to take the money because money was coming in. And so if you had an established platform, you were going to take money. So it would play today, pay tomorrow, sort of like credit cards, you know? And I don't want that to be the same fate for me in what we're doing here. I want, when we support a company, that it's a company that's been around for X number of years. It's not just a bunch of starters with empty promises. You call it the sizzle and the steak. You give me the sizzle and I'll be like, where's my steak? Smells good. Sounds great. And I think that's a big concern. You know, what are your, I guess, transparency and utility have been replaced by mystery and speculation. I love that correlation between transparency and utility, which we spoke of a little bit ago, and replaced by mystery and speculation. That's not going to work anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I think, yeah, because I mean, it's not the bull market anymore. You know, people aren't just going to blindly invest into projects. People are barely even investing in projects anymore. So, you know, there's less demand, like you were saying. You know, people are going to be a little bit more speculative, or, you know, a little more, worrying about their risk factors, which, you know, like people, if you don't know who the project founder is, then that's a lot of risk. But no, going off what you were saying before, you know, like when it comes to, you know, our penny boys and our alerts, just like you were, you know, like we don't get into any stocks that, you know, we don't tell anyone about any stocks unless we are also going to be getting into them, because I think that, like you said, it's really important to lead by example, and I think that's exactly what you're trying to do with this platform when it comes to, if it does come to, you know, any kind of advertisements and that, you know, this, that, whatever. I see a bunch of stuff behind you right now, and I know you're just doing that because you're supporting them, right?
That's it. I mean, OnChain Monkeys, ENS Maxis. By the way, shout out to Good Ass Tequila. I see Ivy in here. Ivy, I'm giving you a token. It's a slow night, and I don't give a shit. I love this podcast. I love my team here at Downtime TV. Super grateful for them. So I'm sending you a token, Ivy. She's just fearless. She is like her name. She comes in like a thunderstorm, and she's ready to knock things down.
She's been killing it since we've had that podcast. I've been watching. She's been doing some big things there. Yeah.
It's never quiet when she's around, and I think that's sort of the appeal of Ivy, and that's one of the reasons why, you know, just personally, you know, offline, I'll just chat with her and just connect, because we get it. But I want to throw back to you on that. I think trust is important, credibility, your word, especially now where in this space all trust, like liquidity, has been removed, and to me that's really important, and that's what I stand for and represent, and I stand on that. We offline? Are we good? Okay, we're good. We just got a little glitch in the matrix, but we're good. So to me, that's important. Platforms like Blur, catering to the NFT Pro Trader Showcase, the importance of targeting specific demographics. And I thought this was interesting. So in one of my wallets, I have a collection of about 130 digital assets on the Ethereum blockchain, because that's my primary focus, and probably will.
I thought you were talking about one project. I was like, oh my gosh. No. Total.
130. So I go on to Blur, and I notice, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's only 68 tokens being shown. What's going on? You know, did my wallet get taken? And then I start going through, and I'm like, what's not here? What's interesting about Blur, as successful as they've been or have become, one of the things that is the drawback is that OpenSea is the platform that is used by the most people. I think the most buy and sell. There's a certain stat there, but Blur, with their farming and all of the liquidity trading and all the things that they have going on, that's been pretty powerful. I'm seeing a screen change, but no worries. Now I get that. Thank you, Tony. Great screen share. I was like, what is that? But to me, I was like, wait a minute. So certain marketplaces don't support certain projects. And that kind of freaked me out for a second. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not a newbie here anymore. So for me, for a second, when I saw that kind of freaked me out. So, and I don't want to say it's intimidating, but when you have X number of dollars in there, whether it's hundreds or thousands of dollars, and you see something like that, Matt, it can get a little concerning, right?
There's just so many instances of like just not knowing how something works. It's like, oh my gosh, I lose money. And it's the fact that like that's our first concern is concerning, that, you know, that we always have just worry about, like, do we get hacked? Did our money get sent somewhere we didn't know about? Like, I never had to worry about that with like bank. And I think that's one, you know, like you were saying, once these apps, you know, be like one that you were talking about earlier, you know, become easier to, you know, access and make sense, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. I think that's when
Yeah.
things are going to change. And I'm not saying, we're going to have a bunch of PFPs all over the place, but I think that the technology will definitely be there.
I got to tell you, the Floor app is freaking amazing, and it is easy to use. And there's a learning curve for everything we do. But I think about the complexity of our cell phones that they put in our hands, and how they've made everybody at every intelligence level, right? You have, every level of intelligence, or IQ. I don't know. Again, EQ, IQ, emotional intelligence, book smarts. Look at I might be at the bottom of that list, but they make our phones so easy to be used to go in and manipulate photos and things. And you think about the back end, the level of coding in that, and then you think about what Web3 will be. That's what excites me about the space, is that we're collecting right now some of the things, not all, because a lot of projects will fail. And that's one of the reasons why I like art, right? It's the ultimate utility. There's promise of absolutely nothing. They don't have to deliver a roadmap. All they have to deliver is a great story and some cool art that everybody goes, oh, that's beautiful. That's all they need to do, Matt. So that's maybe one of the reasons why, my little alpha as to why I like art so much. And then artists that are known and respected and know how to conduct themselves professionally, I think is incredibly important. And then other artists, are taking other gambles, but they're short-term gambles that have long-term consequences.
And that's exactly what I said. I have no problem with, there's a lot of artists who I know who are, doing, their projects on the blockchain. And, these aren't like projects they're charging like $1,200 a pop for, it's like, you get what you pay for. And and their holders, there's no FUD involved in the discourse. One example is Cade. I'm in his Discord all the time. Cade. Yeah, and he has a project. He has his art, and he was very, this is exactly what it is. It's utility, and it's been that since day one. Nothing's ever changed. There's all these other projects. It's like, this is what we're gonna do, but now we can't. And so now we're trying to do this, but now we can't. And so we're gonna try to do that. And it's just about follow through. And and I have no problem with the artist putting out a project, charging what it's what it should be, and then giving exactly what they said. But when you, like you said, do a gamble, and you have that same art project, and instead you put a $600 price tag on it, and put 10,000 PFPs and this, that, whatever, and promise all the stuff that you don't think that you don't know if you can actually make it happen. That's where people have been getting in trouble, had gotten in trouble, and that's where we are now as investors in trouble. We follow them into the fire.
Over promise, under deliver. But I don't blame them, because as I was following them to the fire, I'm like, oh, I can get out of the fire before you can, Matt.
Yeah, but you don't have an NFT. You say you don't blame them, but you didn't do it. You could have. You could have during the why not? You have a podcast. You could have. I could have. I don't
want to do
exactly for what for them it's for money.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And I'm also not with that negativity.
Right.
Like, as soon as people come to me with any negativity, there's no negativity here. I have 2 kids to deal with.
And that's why I blame them. You say I don't blame them. I blame them. I'm like, that's on you. You put something out that you couldn't deliver on. That's on you. Right. It's not on the holders. It's not on the market. It's on this. You did something, and you need to now deal with it.
And I think that sort of goes to the docs, not docs thing. Get docs. I want to know who the hell you are. And if you're not willing to do that, and people are willing to follow you there, then it just understand the heat. And then when you try to come back in, it's not going to be the same. Like, we only get but one reputation. And that's why I think it's, when celebrities have entered into the space, some of them I don't think knew what they were signing up for. And then, again, it's a pretty vicious space, because it doesn't have the credibility that if something goes wrong, like a company folds, or goes out of business in the everyday product and service world, it seems it's a lot more harsh in the Web3 space. At least that's been like my optic from this pace. I think, the other thing we talked about, OpenSea. I think OpenSea was, as we say, retail NFT platforms like NFT, which is a centralized platform, catered to a majority of users, and scalability, clarity in their value propositions are key to moving the space forward. I agree with that. And I love the idea of decentralized, like, oh, we don't need I don't say anti-government, but like anti-authority, right? Because I think there is a need government. I think there's like a balance. I'm sort of like right in the middle. Just there has to be some balance to all this madness out there. And you start talking to people and you're like, oh, okay, we actually think more like on certain things than I actually thought we did. Because I think everybody's get pigeonholed. And I think maybe that goes back to that centralized, decentralized conversation. And so I think with OpenSea, I think they bring credibility. I think Blur brings excitement and fun, but they're not reminiscent to me on like, oh, credibility. They're reminiscent on degen like an MF And,
Right.
they're going to get the big volume of the traders, the degen traders, the big whales that are going to come in and do these things and get the blur points and then, figure out how their money's made. And again, I don't know anything about the token farming and the tokenomics as regard to blur. I really, quite frankly, don't. But when I think about OpenSea, for instance, there are certain projects that could get banned from there. So you could have your MetaMask wallet. And I remember at a certain point when your NFTs would not populate in your MetaMask wallet, they now will. So they'll show in there, and then they'll show previously owned if you sold it or you transferred it. So the functionality of like an app like MetaMask has gotten better, much better. And before you used to go on to Etherscan to actually see what tokens you own. And try reading through that as a beginner or a newbie to see in, out, and then different dash codes and try to figure out the language of that. That can be very, again, daunting, intimidating, and challenging. Any of the words that you want to add to it that can make someone's head completely explode. NFT projects, I think should be based on their unique merits, not compromised, using the same standards of success, recognize that not all projects are the same. And I think it's important. And I think also the other thing is we talk about there's two types of delineations, especially on the Ethereum blockchain, or at least two types of tokens that I like to speak of. One is the 1155, which are the passes. They have no unique rarity and traits. And then the ERC 721 tokens, those have unique rarity and traits. You can put programming information into them. You can also have, and here's another thing, with the 721 tokens, you can have a collection that looks the exact same from a visual perspective, but they can be a 721 token. So there's a little information out for you guys, whoever's listening in. I thought that was a cool conversation that I had with Ralph. He kind of schooled me on that the other morning. I'm like, I never thought about it that way. So yeah.
Yeah, off what you said at OpenSea and Blur, I definitely see OpenSea as probably a bad comparison, but I see OpenSea as like one of those really professional casinos, you go to like, in the Las Vegas, whereas Blur is like one of those apps that like those Kick and Twitch streamers like promote, like those, those gambling apps. Like it's fun. Yeah. You can win all this money, but like, come on. Like,
yeah.
No, no like real adult's going to be like going on that and like, taking it seriously. Whereas a casino, yes, it's still a casino, but it's a little different. It's a little more professional, I think.
Okay. So in your opinion, what app, or what marketplace do you think will create the highest level of credibility, or what does that look like or feel like to you? Because you're younger than me, and OpenSea is pretty cool. I think
OpenSea. Yeah, I think Blur. No, Blur. I was saying Blur is like that app.
Oh, Blur.
OpenSea is like a legitimate casino. Like like Vegas. Like I love casino. I'll go to a Vegas casino. I'm not going to go on one of those apps that, whatever, you get 2,000 free spins or whatever, those kick streamers are promoting. Yep. So I see Blur as like those apps, whereas OpenSea is like legitimate. Like, this is a legitimate place to gamble your money.
All right, so I want to get into, and Tony, if we could do a quick screen share, I want to get into NFT Go. We had them on, there we go. I'm just getting that up. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. So NFT Go just offered a pay-to-play platform for $58 a month. So let's just say that right now they've serviced over 200,000 NFT traders onto the platform. They've supported over 1,250 projects. They have written 70 different articles with three quarterly reports. Super informational. A lot of the stuff that they've offered has been free up to this point, but I just want to give a couple other value adds to all that they've done, right? The 3 NFT reports, the 70 research articles, 1,250 NFT projects that they support. So the $58 a month, it gives you a couple things: in real-time NFT data analytics, comprehensive collection historical data, a trading aggregator, a whale tracking, so that way you can see how the whales are moving. So you kind of figure out what projects they're moving in mass. So if it's like a Punji Penguin and they're all going in there, kind of a clear indicator that you might want to grab onto something long-term. And we think long-term on this podcast. We do not think short-term, because those short-term plays, we're on once a week. If I try to give you a short-term play, it's like, might as well take out the revolver and shoot myself. Small alerts, watch list functionality, portfolio and P&L tracking. But here's the other cool thing with that membership that you get access to Telegram notifications. So you set up a notification and your project starts to fall or gain momentum, and you set sort of a price parameter to sell at, and you're going to play it again. NFT Go is all for the traders. So I want to be clear on that. But it's important to understand, because when you look at that data, both past, present, it gives you an idea of what the future can be. So for me, it helps me to understand, is that something long-term that I want to get into? So that's just my thoughts on NFT Go. We've had them on twice already. We did a short little clip, which we did those little short plot, plan, strategize, and implement clips, which was a lot of fun. That was probably about an hour and a half at the studio last couple weeks ago, Tony, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a ton of fun, dude.
It was a ton of fun. A lot of flubbery, you know. I have it perfect, and then in the last second, I'd be like, and I go, oh my god, I got to redo it again.
Oh, I know how that feels. Yeah,
it was like 100. It was like we probably did like 100 out of the 10.
100
maybe?
takes, yeah,
100 take, close to 100.
Sure,
takes.
Sure. Absolutely.
I love Tony's so easygoing. All right,
I got my teleprompter back. I know exactly. Like I so many takes. Editing is just like, why did I mess up so many times? Why do I hate my post editing self?
I know. See, you hate yourself too. All right, so let's talk about Coinbase staking suspension and regulatory risk. Now, in the wake of Ripple's ruling, there is the pro and the con to it, which we talked about at the beginning of the podcast concerning XRP not being judged as a security, but they're not fully off the hook. Nobody is with Uncle Sam and the beautiful government. They just love crypto so much. And again, they're so virtuous that they want to protect us. And I say that with no sarcasm at all. So Coinbase staking suspension in 4 states highlights significant regulatory risks and raises concerns over their earned product. Coinbase is a great introduction, sort of like our floor app friends. When you want to go on a platform that is simple and easy to use, Coinbase is pretty impressive as well. That being said, that earned product is getting a little bit of ridicule. I don't think it should be. I think teaching people some level of financial literacy, even if it comes in digital assets and cryptocurrency coins on the blockchain, is completely fine. I have no problem with that at all. But however, the government might see a little action. So legal actions from 10 states, including Alabama, California, New Jersey, have taken halt Coinbase's staking program within their jurisdictions. The recent court ruling on Ripple Labs XRP did not fully alleviate the U.S. regulatory challenges for Coinbase. Equity analysis from Berenberg Capital Markets. Wow, that was a tongue twister. They've been around for, I think, about 200 years. I looked it up in ChatGPT and was like, wow, this is a long firm. Firm's been around for a minute. Warned that Coinbase earned the product of offering staking rewards may face potential classification as a security based on the judgment. They're going to want blood, right? If XRP had the woohoo whistles and people were going onto Ledger Live app when they could purchase it, everybody's like, oh, I knew people that were grabbing 10K worth of XRP, and I don't think it flew through the ceiling. You tell me, am I right on that?
Yeah, a nice pump, but like it wasn't. I wouldn't have put $10,000 unless $10,000 is nothing. But like.
Right. That's reminiscent of the FOMO. That's reminiscent of what the bull market, at the end of the day, I wonder, are we all degens? And I think that's why I have to remind myself, when that market starts to run, you're not picking up. You're either holding or you're selling some things to grab back liquidity. And then you're staying put. And then if you're going to get something, it's because you really wanted it and you enjoy it. And don't convince yourself that you really wanted it and you enjoyed it because you were then going to go get many, you greedy little bastard, CraigO. Don't do it.
Yeah, I wish I was as optimistic as I think I have like 3. I think I have 3 projects in my wallet of like 40 projects. I think if we get a bull run, I might be able to make some money. And by money, like I might be able to maybe make my money back off of. I'm telling, and I know the founders of a lot of these projects too that are like never going to come back. Like I'm been in their DMs. Like it's not bad people. It's just it was a bad market.
But it's not even a bad market. It's like giving it's like putting you in the pilot seat and saying, hey, you can get the plane off the ground. Good. Can you land it?
Exactly.
It's no different from that. And everybody's like, hey, I mean, Matt, I'll fly with you. So as much as I want to be like, hey, you're a little more pessimistic, I'm optimistic. I think it's just how we're looking at it. And I think you have a realist approach, whereas my approach is optimistic in the way of that I want to support some of these artists and people coming up to do incredible things, which I think is really relative, I'd say long term.
I guess just, because like, and I'm very, I love like people like you, people like Cade, and I'm very supportive of people like that. But like, and I'm very supportive, even people who, there are a lot of people who I know who were founders. Those projects are no longer there. Their holders lost, myself included, lost a lot of money. I know for a fact that like, they felt really bad about it. And like you said, like they were given a plane and they were told how to take off. And then they were just told like, all right, now, good luck. And then the bear market happened. So then like basically, it's like nighttime happened and then like, all the controls went. It was hard. And unfortunately, it's not necessary. It's their fault because, they decided to do this. But at the same time, like it's just, there's no instruction manual and people were just allowed to do this. Like with no entry, like entry level is so low, like the bar for entry for founding a project. And, that's why like I'm like, me and you, we could have done it. We could have, we could have a project right now that has, a 0.00001 floor price, and we could have made money off of it. And but I had all these, but like we didn't because we knew that. Like we didn't know how to land the plane yet, and we talked. Me and you've talked, off camera, about like different possibilities of that, but we both said, like it's just not. This doesn't make sense for us. I don't think that I could give the value that I would like to, and so that it's just the difference between people who really wanted to make some money and maybe we're a little ambitious, whereas people like us who might have been a little less so in that regard.
And you're right, but it also comes back to those conversations around when people are DMing the founders of communities going, where's my utility? It's like I almost want to be that person, like, utility, bro. Like you'll be lucky to find that on Ethereum. You'll be lucky to find that anywhere else. Utility is a long, steady pace. That's a year, 2 years, 5 years out. And even then, it's just it's like a membership. I want to think the utility is that you're here. The utility is that we get to communicate. The utility is that we get to speak about technology. The utility is that we understand the space and Web2 normies don't right now. Right. That's the utility, is that you might come into this said project and then you might hear about another project from that, and then you are blessed in that regard. So sometimes what will get you to one place won't get you to where you're trying to go. So you're like looking in one direction, you're in this group. But I think the utility that people should be thinking about when they buy something is who are the social connections? I mean, you look at the youths, scholarship. We had Kevin DeGods on, and that was a phenomenal conversation. And he comes with a high level of maturity, and they also have the patience. And I think him right now being next to Frank during this time, I think is incredibly important, because money and age at all different levels, at all different times in our lives, it challenges us. It makes us emotional. It makes us, judgment can be off on certain situations. And so I think it's really important to have leadership within each organization, like a Kevin to a Frank. I think is important, because that emotional maturity keeps it in mind so you can continue to do. Because Frank has a great reputation, for the most part of what I see, and from what I've seen on him. I haven't followed up on him in a while, but he's drinking out of shoes and having fun. And so it's that baller lifestyle in the bull market. But in the bear market, it's does more empathy and humility come into play, and patience. And I was saying the other day to some of my friends and also to my group here, I said, I come in here and I do this for no pay at all. And in the back wall, you see that there are a number of projects and communities that I'm very passionate about, like JPEG Morgan, like OnChain Monkey, like ENS Maxis. And then I get to talk and have honest, true, transparent friends like you who are good communicators to have those offline conversations with and figure out what our next moves are. And sometimes our next move is no move at all, And so maybe I just want to segue into something else, which I thought was really interesting, right? Is BTF, Bitcoin, ETFs, regulatory challenges, and a growing interest. Before I get into some of the talking points on that, any thoughts on ETFs?
Just in general, or Bitcoin wise?
I guess let's just go Bitcoin wise. We'll just in here.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I think ETFs are a great way just to invest in general. For people who are brand new to the market, want to get exposure to a certain market. Right. It's a lot easier to just, when they say Bitcoin ETF, because I really didn't do much research. I don't, unless I see it happening. Kind of like the whole aliens thing. Like unless I see it, it's like. Whether I believe it or not doesn't matter, because I didn't see it. I want to see exactly what it's going to be like. So until I get really involved with and do some research, do you know like what the ETF, like what is a bundle of what, like Bitcoin, or like how does that like
Yeah.
like what other crypto?
So here's the information that I was able to kind of extrapolate from all the reading and then just kind of narrowing it down. So Bitcoin ETFs provide investors the exposure to the Bitcoin price movements without owning the cryptocurrency, which to me, I'm never a big fan of. And I'll get back to that in a second. BlackRock's, of course, BlackRock, right?
Right.
Application for Bitcoin ETFs has been accepted by the SEC. Oh, why would it not, right? I mean, they own all the money in the world, probably. Regulatory challenges continue to exist, but the approvals could lead to mainstream adoption and significant market impact. And again, maybe that's one of an indicator that we will find ourselves back in a bull market, because when you have matured cryptocurrencies, at least right now we call matured, ETH and Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has something like this, it goes, interesting. Canada has already approved Bitcoin's ETFs, showcasing different regulatory approaches. The SEC's ongoing review of the process indicates an increasing interest from traditional finance institutions in Bitcoin. So electronically traded funds, low risk, and rather than the everyday guy like you and I going on to Coinbase and buying some Bitcoin and then sending it over to our wallet so we can see it in our wallet. I don't know. I don't know how I think part of me says, well, this is good. But at the end of the day, this is not, to me, what pushes the space forward, because, you could have, whether it's a couple or an individual, say 50s or 60s, just kind of giving an age, and, they want to diversify their portfolio into some cryptocurrencies. We haven't done anything to improve the space. The digital asset communities that are heavy on X, I'm going to still call it Twitter, and Discord, and building community and talking about technology. What's up, Diaz? I see you, brother. That to me, I think is incredibly is short-sighted. And so for me, it's like, whoop-de-doo, big deal. It doesn't affect, when we do crypto NFTs, an ETF is not going to be the draw or the linchpin that gets us back, but it's not a negative either.
Right. I mean, you can already buy and sell cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, on Webull without owning it. I believe Robinhood too. Like, it's not like, unless you get like the Robinhood wallet, but like, you can, like, on Webull, you buy and sell it. You're not owning it. It's not in a wallet. It's just you're buying and selling like you would a stock. So like, it seems like, unless it's like an ETF that like holds a certain amount of crypto, like, so you don't have to worry about which crypto you're getting into. I guess that makes sense, because that has the stock market. You don't want to. You like technology stocks. You don't know which ones to invest in. You got to you find an ETF that you like that has a good bundle. That would make sense, I guess. But like, other than that, I don't. I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's going to like make mainstream adoption happen.
Right. Everybody has, and by the way, shout out to my financial advisor. In your 20s and 30s, this will be an interesting fact for you guys. People have about 3 to 4 financial advisors, and they don't even have the money to have these financial advisors. A financial advisor comes on, I'm going to show you how to organically. We got some music blasting in the back. That's some loud music. Do you hear that, Matt?
Bridgeport.
Shout out. So we had
3 to 4 financial advisors, though, huh?
Thank you.
3 to 4 before 30.
Yeah. So before 30.
I didn't hear it, but I'm 31. Shoot.
I've now worked down to 1. Right. And I love my financial advisor. Great guy. I think where I like to invest is going to be a SEP and a Roth IRA for my children, for my wife. And so that's the conservative approach financially. And this is like a shit storm in Web3. This is where it all goes down. But I make sure that those are filled first. And so when you think about the benefits, if my financial advisor came to me and said, "Hey, Craig, we got this new cryptocurrency ETF," I was like, "You can keep that. Not interested." Not interested.
Right. I mean, they've already heard it a million times. Oh, I heard, hey, I had this crypto. Like, if they didn't hear it already during the bull market, come on. Like, everyone's already heard, like, hey, invest in crypto, invest in crypto. Tom Brady told you to invest in crypto. I mean, like,
him and when you saw them next to each other, right? I mean, kind of like, and Tom was like, you would have thought Tom was paid to be his friend. You would have thought. You saw these two. It's like, that's my boy. He's like, that's Sam's my boy.
It's a paycheck.
It's a paycheck for you. And again, that goes to the exact thing. Is like, here he has a legacy. He's a celebrity, and that kind of will always be attached or have a level of tarnish. Now, it'll probably be forgotten about it at some point. down the road, and maybe in the next bull market it will wash itself completely away.
He'll cry about on the 10 yachts he bought with the FTX money. Like,
exactly. Man, I don't know. So,
I mean, he at this point, like Tom Brady has nothing to lose. Like, he's done it. He's good.
Zero.
Like whatever. It's like
he's the GOAT.
Like, yeah, he's like Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan could invest, could do a whole FTX thing. The next day is fine.
I wonder, did you get to that certain status? I don't use the word godlike at all, but like that certain status where it's sort of like an untouchable, like a Michael Jordan, like that Oprah, certain individuals, you get to that level and sort of like your rules are your own. Maybe that's kind of dangerous, but again,
there are some founders who are trying to get that level, who are trying to be at the point where or even some influence. There's a lot of, I'm not gonna name names, a lot of beef going on in the NFT space between a lot of big entities. And a lot of people are at that point where they think that they're just big enough where they can just do or say anything, and it's like, well, yeah.
you really can't. And speaking of one of the influencers, but not in that particular manner, actually, ThreadGuy, and which I thought we'll go into that in a little bit. But there are 4 pros to the SEC ruling concerning Ripple, and then there are 4 cons, and I'm going to get through those really quick. Right? Clarity: the ruling provides clarity that XRP is not considered a security, removing uncertainty surrounding its regulatory status in the cryptocurrency market. Then market confidence with the SEC's decision. Market participants may have increased confidence in trading and investing in XRP, leading potential growth and development in the overall ecosystem. Ripple's operations, the ruling offers relief, temporary relief at that, to Ripple, the company associated with XRP, allowing them to continue their operations without the risk of facing financial, legal repercussions related to security regulation. So those are the pros. Now let's get to these cons really quick. Liability for institutional sales. Ripple and its executives may face potential liabilities and regulatory consequences for conducting unregistered institutional sales of XRP. Kind of feels a little bit of like a contradiction. Aiding and abetting claim. Oh, this is cute. I love how they're just dropping all these little buzzwords in here. Uncertainty persists regarding the executives' understanding of security laws, creating possible legal complexities. They had to throw complexity in there just to be like, we don't know what we're going to hit you with next, but we're going to hit you. Ongoing litigation. The case remains unresolved. Leading, again, another contradiction, leading to the continuation of the legal proceedings, which could result in the increased complexity and cost for Ripple. Regulatory implications. This is the last con. The ruling precedent may there we go, may influence the SEC's approach to similar crypto assets, potentially impacting the regulatory environment for other cryptocurrencies. So it almost feels like that ruling was just like, go back to what you're doing, but we're going to come back and beat you up later.
It's very like,
what?
Well, like, we'll see what happens. Like you said, to
actually do those, to delve those points, because I had to cut through all that. It was a lot.
It sounds like your parents, like, you're out in public and, like, the reprimanding you, and it's a very small, but like when you get home, you're like your ass beat. It's like that. It's like, you're fine for now, but just wait until we get home. Crypto community and
version of getting my ass beat is I come home to a messy first floor and I have to clean that up. That's my version of getting my ass handed to me. Tony, in a second, we'll do a screen share. I'll let you know when. But I'll talk about the not ThreadGuy. Is that how we say it? Not ThreadGuy? I mean, how do we ThreadGuy?
I call him ThreadGuy.
ThreadGuy. He's like, it's like going through the whole not ThreadGuy. Okay. He's a Web3 content creator who gained prominence through writing threads of all things in NFT projects and hosting Twitter Spaces. And, again, we talk, not yet, Tony.
Screen share.
Back. He's grabbing a coffee. Good. So, Threads, PFP picture became the subject of interest as he received offers to change it in exchange for valuable assets. Well, of course he declined. Why would he? It's his brand. It's his Mutant Ape is just the same as when we had talked months ago to NFT God. He's not going to let his Mutant Ape go. Why would you? It's tied to your good name.
It's like McDonald's selling the McDonald's logo.
Hey, maybe Elon will take that next.
A big M instead of X.
And then send them a T-shirt of the McDonald's logo.
Yes. Well, wasn't like McDonald's like stolen by somebody at one point or something? There's like a whole movie about it. So
McDonald's movie.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good, actually. Yeah,
it was. But after receiving a customized, Open featuring his beloved mutant ape, he eventually changed it. So, there's all these derivatives, and then Jack Butcher got on it, created an Open, launched the Open Thread Edition for ThreadGuy's new PFP with all the proceeds. And Jack, by the way, Jack Butcher is the creator of Open. All the proceeds going to the ThreadGuy. So it's kind of like, hey, my friend, I'm gonna create this. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna set you up a wallet, and you're gonna get $81,000 because you're my boy. I'm like, can I have a friend like ThreadGuy and Jack Butcher?
Jack Butcher, yeah.
Yeah, we'd be best of friends. I mean, create a CraigO, jumping thing. I don't know.
It's for the culture. That was, that's the whole thing.
What was interesting about that, you talk about even in this market, right? It was minted 42,893 times.
Jeez.
And all this went directly to the ThreadGuy from Jack Butcher's creation. So the event generated mixed feelings within the NFT community. Can't imagine why. With some praising the cleverness of how ThreadGuy leveraged his brand, with others questioning the motives behind it. I mean, we're in Web3. All motives are going to be questioned, but
what motives though? The ThreadGuy didn't make the project. He didn't it's like the you got nothing.
No, behind the scenes, behind the scenes, like play. Hey, Jack, that kind of thing.
Oh, it's like, hey, I'll change my PFP and then you make a project for. Oh, you're saying that? Oh, okay. Yeah,
but
that's different. Yeah.
But here's the thing: at the end of the day, if ThreadGuy can keep people engaged, I was in one of his spaces, and he's very verbose.
He's fun. Yeah.
He's not boring. He's fun. He's engaging. And he knows how to conduct a space, and 0 F's given. 0.
Well, and here's a bit. He looks the part. So, like he's doxed, and people know. Like it's one thing having some random guy yelling at you, but it's another thing when you know what he looks like. He looks the part. He's acting the way he looks. And it's good. He's a good looking guy, and it makes sense for him to do that. It's one thing. It's like some dude in his grandma's basement. This, that, whatever. But this guy looks like he could be a mini Web3 celebrity. He looks the part. So I'm not mad about it. I think he deserves the money.
Okay. All right. All right. So ThreadGuy saga involving his PFP changed and created a captivating narrative, right? And generated positive attention, ultimately resulting in financial gains. I think at the end of the day, I think it was an awesome move on his part. And if you think that with the time, effort, and energy that he spent in this space, that he shouldn't be making money, you're crazy. I think the only thing that you might be mad about is we didn't make the money. Let's not be haters. Let's be appreciators and figure out how we can make some more. And in a second, we're going to talk about Open, but I do want to just do one quick thing if I can, Tony, and I'll let you know. Hold on 1 second.
And really quickly off of the PFP change, because I know the ThreadGuy was saying this in a spaces I was in. He was talking about how, he thought about changing the PFP, and, it's his brand, like you were talking about NFT God. Right. And the big thing with this, the Opepen or whatever, it looks like his brand. He was talking about how his brand isn't just the project that you get behind. It's the color scheme for him.
Right.
And I thought that was a really interesting concept, because you always see people making custom NFTs for Leap. It's based off of his color scheme. So it's it's interesting how how that might change. How people think about PFPs. It's less about the project and more so just about the the color scheme, or just the logo or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, people's PFP colors. Intertwined into that Open. No, I thought that was cool. That was actually a point that I didn't make. That's why I have you here, man. It's just sheer brilliance, because that was when you saw ThreadGuy do that and you saw his PFP, you're like, that's his mutant ape in the form of these shapes. And all right, so I first want to do this. And again, I know we don't have a busy night on the docket, but I do want to pick another winner if we can. If there's more people in the space, I don't know.
We got Stony in there. We got some. I see. Oh, I don't know the project. There's 2 people with the Solana project of some sort. I know it's a big one. It's like Chimp something, or I should know this. Okay. As someone who makes content about NFTs, but
okay. So we've given one Stony to IB, and I'm just gonna ask that the room. Stony, what's up, my brother? we've got to catch up at some point soon. I think that would be like phenomenally awesome. Funny enough, my computer's glitching on me a little bit, but it is what it is. All right, so we talked about NFT Go. All right, so a couple things. I just want to do a quick screen share as you're going to pick a winner. I'm going to throw that on you, Matt. I picked Ivy before. I'm going to make sure she gets one because she's awesome like that. If you could do a quick screen share, Tony, if you don't mind. All right, I'm just going to go through a couple of these. So one of the things that I did is as I start to learn about these things, and I utilize ChatGPT not as a cheat, and I'm super transparent in this, is I want to utilize it to the data that you input is the quality of output that you'll get. And so I started to create sort of some threads or some idea content around it. So I'd love you guys, if you're not following CraigO's Crypto Corner, please feel free to follow it. We got on YouTube, we got on Twitter, we have a link tree that you can find on my Twitter page under CraigO's Crypto Corner. We've created some really cool things. I did a little bit of a ThreadGuy call out, just talking a little bit about all the things that he's done in this space and the positivity for it. And we've also invited ThreadGuy on, at some point. And again, we've had some really big guests. At some point, we might get him on. Well, you can come off the screen share now. You're cool. But some upcoming guests we have next week. Futureverse, they're coming on. They got $54 million worth of funding. We're going to be speaking with the founders who are part of my JPEG family. Shout out to them. It's funny when I point that. There we go. I was like,
it's hard. I know.
Be like
the mirror effect.
There you go. So we have them coming on. We're going to probably have Chris Mattern from the Floor App coming on. We also are going to have, I think it's Trevor Owens. So he's going to be coming on. He's a pretty big person in the space. He runs some pretty heavy spaces as well. You know who he is?
No, I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, we'll put it.
I was like, yes. Like I was doing the part. I mean,
great.
It was make a clip of this. Make a clip, and then now we mess it all up.
Yeah.
There goes that short.
Matt, you're gonna have to come on next week, and we got to figure out something because he's not coming. That was like, what if that's the FUD? What if that's the sleight of hand, and we just don't know it? All right.
You see that I tagged Bat Dad and told him to come on.
I did. I saw that. That's pretty cool. I have to say.
I didn't know he was an NFT. I used to follow him back in the day. Like I'm a fan.
Everybody's in NFTs. All right. So I want to real quick, if we can, Tony, I want to do a quick screen share and just show the token that we're giving away. Absolutely free. It will allow you access to the Floor app. This app is absolutely powerful. Lots of great information in there. And again, I just got a big, well-known artist, Vinny Hagar. I was able to purchase that for minimal dollars today, and it's worth quite a bit right now. Again, it'll probably retrace after some sales. And then, again, it's going to go into my cold wallet. But Matt, I'm going to let you pick the winner. And, yeah.
All right. I want to see some emojis in the chat. Who here is the NFT trader? You said that, this is good for people who are trading, right?
This is good for people that are not even actively trading, people that have a wallet that just want to track. So for instance, if they have multiple wallets, they can put in all their addresses and you can just check in there to see the value of your NFTs, collections going up or down. If something goes out of your wallet, if something comes into your wallet, it's pretty cool. And then you can click in from there into OpenSea or to Blur. Blur, gotta love it. So that's what you can do. It's a lot that you can do with this app, and there's a lot more coming. And I can't wait to unpack more of that with Chris Mattern, the founder of the Floor app.
All right, I think that there's 3 people with like the same-ish PFP, so I'm gonna give it to one of them. Actually, I think those other 2 are different than this one. But Kishi for Soul, software researcher, and they know software. You probably know how to use this app.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Kishi for Soul.
Perfect. Kishi for Soul. I'm just coming to the listeners. All right, good. We've got some listeners in tonight. It's been a slow night, and I don't mind it. I love it. So Kishi for Soul, do me a favor, Kishi for Soul. I see you. I'm just looking at your PFP with the Solana logo. Just DM me, just as a reminder, and send me your Ethereum address, and I will get that out to you tomorrow. Ivy, my friend, give me a heart. I know I see you in there. Just do me a favor and send me your ETH address as well, and I will get that off to you. And guys, we're going to be doing some more things. And by the way, Stoney, we've got to collaborate again. And it's just been too long since we've chatted. And one of those quality relationships in Web3 that I have, and I appreciate you as well. And yeah, thumbs up to you, Ivy. I appreciate you. I try to stay out of the Twitter spaces during the podcast because I want to continue to great content, and I hope you guys are enjoying what we're talking about. So, Open, the most ambitious Web3 art project. So when I was in New Jersey, I was sitting on a little over an ETH, and I was thinking to myself, man, I should get Open. So it's OPEPEN.
Opepen?
We got it. I know.
I
It's
have no
weird.
idea.
It throws me off. It is correct. I had to look at the screen and be like, Tony, I think on the YouTube it's spelled wrong. No, it's actually spelled correct. Great job.
Yeah, it's like,
Thank you. Renee did that.
Congratulations, Renee. You're good.
She's never wrong.
She's never wrong. All right, so let's talk about Open. So I was sitting there and I'm like, oh, it's like at 0.7 ETH. If I get this, then I can't. I was about to degenerate into my 2022 self, and I stopped.
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad I did. No, listen, it's a great collection. I have the ultimate respect for what Jack Butcher's done. If you want to know who Jack Butcher is, literally just go scour the internet. You can find out who he is. He's very accomplished well before he came into Web3. So nothing but the highest level of respect. But I thought to myself, all right, this is patience. I'm feeling this FOMO. I don't need to do it right now. Just chill. So Open, launched by Jack Butcher, in 2023, is his most ambitious digital art project of the year. Originally starting as an open edition mint of 16,000 plus unique wallets, were lucky enough to mint the Open for free. So think about that. Why am I going to want to pay something exorbitant to where some people mint it for free? There's just no reason in that. Maybe that's more logic for me. Open's design evolved into a digital art collection with 200 unique drops, each consisting of 80 opens with different edition sizes. So interesting how he's not just calibrated artistic expression, but how it is going out to the public. So he knows how to play to the social currency, the strategy or the tokenomics of it all, right? And then to participate in the new drop, collectors must opt in, and the drop is canceled if participation threshold isn't reached, usually 20x the available supply. So he sort of had a metric that had to be met in order for him to follow through on something. So there had to be more demand than the actual supply in which he was putting out.
Okay.
I thought that was smart. Like if there's not enough people, I'm not performing on the stage. I don't have that choice right now. We got 3 people on YouTube. We got 9 people in Twitter Spaces, and I love you. I love you very much. I appreciate you because you could be doing anything, folding laundry, washing dishes. Maybe you are, but you're still tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, and that's awesome. Every Open drop date has surpassed the demand, right? The threshold, with thousands of collectors expressing interest in owning the revealed tokens. After 48 hours, an on-chain raffle occurs to determine the winners of the new drop. The artwork in each drop is unique, but the Open symbol remains recognizable in each piece. Let's talk about that, right? It's sort of the branding. The symbol he's not getting away from. 48 hour to do the raffle, right? There's a timeline that he's doing. Everything is controlled. Everything is thought out, right? The demand threshold, right? That, talking about, like, so if people have a positive experience into one collection, they're going to have a positive experience into the next. And you're building your reputation, you're building your brand. That to me is sort of a playbook when we want to talk about like a roadmap and just like how to correctly launch collections to be successful. This is it. This to me says possible long-term. Where is it going to be? What are these collections? Will some of these be the valuable relics that they could be? Or are they just going to be nothing more than just dirt, on the side of the road and empty cans with empty promises in them? Mm-hmm. Or sizzle. I hear the sizzle, but there's no stake ever. So I have to wonder on that. The project ambition lies in the goal to create 200 different drops. So far, 9 drops have been released. So he's very much at the beginning of this. And if you think about it, we're in 1 year, 9 drops. If we multiply that out, let's just say, what is that, 20 years? 10 to 15 years. So his strategy is a timeline strategy right there. At least that's what I'm reading into it. And then the Open provides collectors with a multi-year experience evaluating new artwork for participation in each drop, which helps retain attention and avoid dilution of holders. So there's a strategy to keep people engaged and keep people involved. So if you keep people holding on, you're captivating their attention because their wallets, their money is before you. When I've invested in something, my attention is drawn there. If there is no money into that said thing, my attention is only on it for so long. Thoughts, Matt?
Oh, I don't know. This whole he just
I love it, man. I love it.
it was cool. Like it was cool because it's I like the idea of it's this project where people can I think like what mention like make it their own make
Right.
like their own brand and like Pepsi could like do it looks like the Pepsi logo or that was cool. You see all these big brands doing it, and that's awesome. But like not for what you said 0.8 ETH. Like I'm not. I mean like I don't know. Like there's a reason why the price is going down. I think it's just not worth that much money to just have a logo that looks like a child drew it. I don't know.
If there are 9 releases, I don't quite get the size thing, right? But whatever. I mean, again, obviously you can do like, full body digital assets, head assets.
Oh, like next one's 3D or whatever. I don't know.
Well, whatever. But I would say that if you're banking on an artist like this, you go back to the editions, the first initial editions. And so if they become successful, those are the older pieces. Less supply, right? The ideas around these are the basics that everybody knows. But then again, we know that sometimes it's not a supply thing. It sometimes can be just a demand can overrate a supply. So if you have something that has 50 in a said collection versus 200 in a said collection, but the 200 said collection is the one that people like and gravitate towards more, the community controls. And that's the beauty of Web3. It's sort of that idea that we craft and we kind of narrate that. But mind you, at the end of the day, Jack Butcher is creating the game in which you're playing in. So understand the game, has these things that benefit him first and foremost, which is, again, he's the creator. This is the time he spends. It benefits his investors. And then I want to say that part of his investors are the token holders. But again, you're in this long run for him. So if he's launched 9 right now thus far, and this was launched at the beginning of this year, and I just go, 200 is his metric of, 200 different collections or 200 different drops, then I say, okay, well then if he can do that consistently each year, doing 10 and you space those out, you're consistently busy almost every other week, promoting the next one and doing the raffle. So it's really cool how he's kind of set up sort of how his business will unfold.
But isn't the Opepen or whatever, isn't the price going down?
I think like everything, I mean, I'll have to check that out. But I mean, again, you're going to see these bounces because when I was away, I saw a fluctuation down and then I saw a little fluctuation up. And I don't know that I pay attention to it when it's, I think more than 0.1. If I see it go from 0.8 to 0.9, I'm cognizant of it. If it's like 0.85 to 0.82, I'm not as cognizant of that as others are. But if you put that into fiat, oh, don't worry. I'll be like, oh my God, that lost $30. What happened?
Yeah, it's at 0.6 right now as far as the floor price goes. I mean, it was at, all right, so it's not doing too bad. It's at 0.74 a little bit ago. Like, it's definitely not on the up. So I guess my thing is you're going to put 200 projects out. I think that at least one of them should be doing, like, going this way and not that way. This is my thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the market that we're in. So it's like one of those things like if you love this artist and you like his credibility.
See, I don't know who he is. I guess that's my problem. I have no idea who Jack Butcher is.
Yeah, he's
Didn't sound like some TV characters. I don't know. Like
no, he's legit. And I think and it's, those collaborations with people in this space, it's cool. But again, I get it though, right? We're in a space right now that's kind of like everybody left the room and the cool kids are like, hey.
Well, it's just, it depends on if you like, like some people love Star Wars and will pay a lot of money for Power Rangers, Star Wars, Teen, whatever. And then people who never even watch the movies, which I think is a sin, but that's a whole other story.
I'm still looking forward to when we hear When Lambo. I mean, that'll let me know that we're back in and rocking it. All right. So the last thing that we're going to go over before we got a couple things. So I'm going to try to be a little bit quicker now because this has been a great podcast. Just a lot of good information. We covered, Web3 fundraising, funding plunges 76%. So let me just hit you with a couple quick stats. The first half of 2023 witnesses an alarming 78% drop in Web3 startup funding with only $3.6 billion raised compared to nearly $16 billion in the first quarter of last year. All right. Large funding rounds of over 100 million are noticeably scarce, with only 3 such rounds in record of Q2. Funny enough that we were just talking with Ralph and he said 3 in AI. It's funny how closely connected he is. It's funny when you read through this stuff and then you talk to certain people in the space, you'd be like, oh, you're in the know. I just love it. Crypto prices experienced significant surge in 2023, with Bitcoin up 80% and Ethereum up over 50% in value during the calendar year, because it dropped so incredibly low, then to rebound back up. I remember seeing Ethereum under 1,000.
It's like at 800 at one point. I was like,
yeah.
what?
And I was thinking to myself, and I'm just like, I didn't have it in me at that moment. But then again,
Same.
Whatever. It's, I could talk all the S I want. Just the fact is, it is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about ETH and, sort of where it's going to go. So, I did a quick little, let me see if I can just grab to that screen share, because I think the perfect analogy is right here. And Tony, if you can crew up that screen share, that would be great. A guy that I've been following, and maybe at some point we'll have him come on the podcast. We've just been DMing a little bit back and forth, but what are inscriptions in the simplest possible terms? The Venmo notes field, but you put an image in there. And I just think it's pretty cool because you can do notes in Ethereum, but in inscriptions, it's all on chain. So I'll give you a couple quick things in this that was I think was really cool. Just a couple words that you guys might want to think about. First off, to date, over 130,000 inscriptions have been generated. There's a thing called call data to inscribe non-financial data directly onto the Ethereum main chain, providing affordable and decentralized alternative to contract storage. Inscriptions are created whenever a successful Ethereum transaction's input data forms a valid data URI. URI ensuring uniqueness. Now, if you ask me what that is, I'm not your code guy. You're going to have to figure that one out. The initial owner of the inscription is the recipient, and the sender is the designated as the creator. That's interesting. So I literally, when I minted those, I was both the recipient and the designated creator. And I don't know if that works the same for all inscriptions. Are going to be people that are launching out their own artwork, but it's a pretty cool process. Gas fees are incredibly low. It will not show up in your OpenSea. You can purchase with Ethereum, but I highly recommend that you guys go and check out inscriptions. Again, it's sort of like when you think about ordinals, the protocol on the Bitcoin blockchain, inscribing on the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's sort of similar to that, but I think that this space has a chance to grow very, very quickly. But again, there's a lot of people in the Web3 space who are kind of putting sort of the dampers or the brakes to it, and I don't know the whole exact reason for that. So a couple other little tidbits of information. ERC 721 NFTs to store their metadata and images on IPF servers. So we talked a little bit about that being off-chain. Inscriptions keep everything on the Ethereum itself and do not rely on external servers like IPFs, like IPFSs. All right, so dynamic content that revolves over time, integration with smart contracts for programmable art, support for multiple assets and interoperability, complex use cases like interactive games and generative art, enhanced community engagement for creators, potential for ongoing revenues through royalties, which we spoke a little bit about before, an indexer for integration for improved discoverability. So guys, just highly recommend that you go and check out a little bit about inscriptions. It caught my attention, so I wanted to bring that to your knowledge as well. So I want to kind of finish this off a little bit, Matt, and then I just want to hear maybe just a little bit more from you on some of the things that you're doing, or some things that we should be aware of right now. But I want to give you guys 4 different collections that I looked at this week, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I got. Tony, if you can cue up the screen share, I'm going to be super quick with this. So I'm a big believer in Truth Labs. I really like what they're doing in the space. The team is pretty powerful. The founder is nothing short of brilliant. We've had him on the podcast before. And so I grabbed 3 more Illuminati pyramids. from the Secret Society. So I just highly recommend that it's a project that you do your due diligence on. But I remember about a month ago, I bought 3 of them for about $1,500. This time I bought 3 of them for $500. So I did a little bit of cost averaging, but I like what they're doing. I like how they're making moves in the space. And so when the top people in the space who are involved in this every day say this is something that they're into and that they're grabbing more of, well, it drew my attention. So the next one that I want to talk to you guys about, and we mentioned a little bit today, is the Floor app. Hopefully we're going to have Chris Mattern on August 9th. But they had their first drop today. Vinny Hagar, who is a well-known artist, highly recommend that you follow them, as well as the Floor app. So I grabbed my Vinny Hagar piece when he threw that into my cold wallet. Super grateful to have picked up that. And again, this wasn't a cash play. I'm getting into things that I really love. But again, if money gets tight, Vinny, I love you, but I got to sell you. All right. Next thing is we talked a little bit about inscriptions. Keckpunks. Not a big page. It's actually coming from my personal page. Don't worry, I do follow them, so they can feel good about that. They actually, I think they just said there's 26% minted. I spoke with the founder. Just really cool. Someone who's doing something unique. Not a lot of attention being paid to it right now. So it'll be interesting if we can come back to this clip, a year from now and be like, hey, I told you so. We'll see if this one ages well. So Keckpunks, the next CryptoPunks. Well, actually, CryptoPunks did not like this at all. So I'll leave that there. That was a whole other situation. But at some point, if they want to come on and talk a little bit about that, again, I think it's a respect and it's an homage. And again, this was I think one of the first punk-like type pixelated art on Inscriptions, which is on the Ethereum blockchain because it's all on-chain, a little bit different. So yeah, so that's that. And then there was one last that I want to share. Des Lucrece, good play, I think it is. His artwork has sold. His digital artwork is sold at Sotheby's and Christie's. So I picked up about 8 of his different pieces, and they're going to be doing a burning mechanism with a lessened supply. So there's some potentially good opportunity there for you. Not financial advice. Every week, I am honored and humbled for those that tune in, those who have nothing but positivity and good wishes on me and my podcast. And I'm super grateful for those that come in and give me feedback and help me to see grow during a time that it is pretty quiet. We've had, and sometimes in our spaces, we've had up to 500 people. We've had 265 people when we had Rhapsody from a kid called Beast. So community power is really important. And I love the fact that we have this platform. And I love the fact, Matt, that I get to spend my time with you. I'm going to let you finish out this episode. What are your thoughts? How do you want to end out tonight?
All right. Can I put you in the spot? Because I got a question for you.
Go for it.
What are your thoughts on Badogos? I know that we had Easy Eats on. It's like my first podcast on here as a co-host was with Easy Eats. And I'm curious. I know that they had their mint. I haven't really been keeping up to date with it. Have you, or did you mint it, or?
No. I like Easy a lot.
Me too.
I think we've had so many conversations, and it's like, how many quality friendships, relationships can you have, even in the Web3 space? But I think he's had enough experience. When I go back, I was just kind of thinking about back to our interview. His father had a big influence on him, and he's a very technical person. He's very likable. He is trustworthy in a lot of ways, and I think that interview he's just very humble. And I think he is sort of, when you think about his team, to me, he's the ultimate level of credibility. Again, I've never spoken with PO or the other individuals in the group. I think Luke, who handles or manages some of their social media, but to me, he is like just that guy that you just grab a beer with and just talk to about life. And he's just a young, awesome, mature guy. So to me, I think the fact that he launched a project and is in this space consistently. I always see him in the Twitter spaces. I've pulled away from the Twitter spaces, and I'll come back to them from time to time. And at some point, there was something about it that drew me to it at the beginning. And I don't know if it was maybe a selfish, like, oh, I'm going to grow my podcast. I'm going to click the, get to stage button, whatever it is. But again, I don't want to go off too far on a tangent with that. I see him a lot on Twitter spaces and that tab that comes across, and he's consistent and he's there every day, and he's a likable guy. And I think he'll do great.
Yeah, I didn't have enough space on my phone to re-download my Phantom wallet, so I didn't mint. But
I get it. I get it.
Solana, what can you do? No, but no, I definitely would have. Had it been, I'm just so far gone from the NFT space right now.
How much?
Solana and all that stuff.
How much stuff can you get?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to build a 6-week trading course for stocks.
Yeah, I've got my daytime job. I've got my family. So there's this balance, and as we have this quality time together each week, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. I'm gonna let you land this plane. Any other last parting thoughts?
Not besides the dies. Yeah, I really just want to hear, because I know we both were saying how we were gonna mint it, and I never did, so I want to make sure I wasn't the
nothing
only
but
one.
nothing but the praise for easy.
No, I love him. Yeah, and I met him at NFT NYC. He's a great guy. Great guy. Him and PO too. I met both. Yeah, they're great people.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've actually heard that from you. So shout out to Easy and PO. Let's continue with great episodes. Matt, it's always an honor to have you on. I love all the content that you're producing on all your social media platforms, and I enjoy your short form content. I think you're one of the most exciting people to watch when it comes to short form content. I think you have crafted it well. You continue to improve on your skill set. So thank you so much, my friend.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I've been watching. I know the last episode you said you were on vacation. You made the short form content. I was watching that. They're good. I like them. Like you got to, a lot of people don't get to the point when it comes to short form content. And I know you have an editing team behind you, but they were really solid, like very solid. Like there was no like lulls or boring or whatever. A lot of creators struggle with that, where you did not at all. And that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's hard because I'm a hard critic on it. So I'll go back to it and be like, oh, Tony, Matt, I should have said this and that. Oh, Mike, can you get this one out? Oh, Renee, did we put this out on time? It's like, oh my God, you go nuts.
I hear that.
So everybody, in Twitter Spaces, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is just a great, fun episode tonight. Really engaging. Hopefully, I shared some stuff that you guys might take heed to and just dive in a little bit further. And remember, ChatGPT is your friend. It's not your writer. It's not there to help you cheat. It's there to help you give new ideas, whether it's creative process, writing, or just information. And always double check before you speak. And thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate it. And let's tune out of this episode. Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.